Hello, New Covenant Community Church. This week we began our 4-week sermon series on the book of Ruth. And in this sermon series, we looked at Ruth chapter 1, which is going to show Ruth, one of the most unlikely people you could imagine, a Moabite widow. She is going to cling to God and be faithful to God in the midst of very, very difficult times. And the text that we looked at this week unfolded into 3 major scenes. The first scene was the setting of the book. It's going to take place in the time of Judges. Think dystopian literature. It's very sad, very dark. It's a time period when everyone is doing what is right in their own eyes. And we catch a glimpse of that right off the bat with a guy by the name of Elimelech. He leaves the land of promise. He takes his family to the land of Moab. So they leave the land. They go back to the place where they were before they crossed over the Jordan River. And there his sons marry people who seemingly worship foreign gods. That's going to be seen when Ruth says, go back to the gods of your families. They're just doing what is right in their own eyes. Elimelech dies, his sons Mahlon and Chilion die, and the only people who are left are Naomi, the wife of Elimelech, and then the 2 daughters-in-law that she has from the marriage of her sons, and they're widows as well. Naomi, in the next scene, urges her daughters-in-law Orpah and Ruth to go back to their family and back to their gods. Eventually, Orpah relents and goes back, but Ruth clings to Naomi. And in clinging to Naomi, she makes this covenantal confession. She says, your God will be my God. Your people will be my people. Where you go, I will go. And basically, don't let anything but death part us. And if it does, right, I'll take that on myself. She takes an oath against herself. She clings to Naomi, and even more than that, she clings to Naomi's God, the true and real God. And then we see they end up going back to the land because they hear that the Lord has visited his people. He's brought food from the famine. So they go back to Bethlehem. And when they're in Bethlehem, they're immediately greeted by a group of women who say, is this Naomi? And Naomi says, don't call me that. Her name means pleasant. She says, call me Mara, call me bitter, for the Lord has dealt bitterly with me. And what ends up happening is she ends up evaluating her situation. She says, the Lord has done all of these things to me. And she says, I went away full, but I've come back empty. So she has a right theological idea. God's in charge. She has a wrong application of that idea, and she misunderstands her circumstances within that overall view of God's sovereignty. She seems to think that she's come back empty. The end of the book in chapter 4 is going to show us that she actually came back full, that Ruth was worth more to her than 7 sons, is what the same women are going to say. So in the midst of difficulties, let's make sure that we trust in the Lord. Let's make sure that we see circumstances for how they truly are.